Am I on? I think I'm on, everyone. Oh, maybe not. Hello. Do you want to check if the audio is working?
Yeah.
Thanks. All right. My sister is officially helping me out getting this to work. Okay, cool. Glad to be on. All right. Thanks for your patience, everyone. It's kind of ironic because I was kind of the technology expert of the group for this for this endeavor, and I still had technical issues. So here we go. Oh, we might have a cameo from my Chihuahua Millie. Yep, there she is. So everyone, my name is Maggie Ann Martin, and I'm a young adult author of 2 novels. So my first novel came out in early 2017, and it is called The Big F. And then in 2018, my second novel, To Be Honest, came out. So I'll show you quickly what the covers look like. Oh, maybe. So here are the books. Both of them are such books of my heart. And so I felt really lucky to have been able to publish them with Swoon Reads. And so Swoon Reads is kind of a unique publishing journey for its authors. So traditionally, when you're looking for a publisher, you go through an agent, which I do have a lovely agent now, Allie, who works at Stimola Literary Studio, who is putting on this whole awesome webinar series called Stimola Live. But before I had my wonderful agent, when I was looking to get The Big F published, I was trying to connect with an agent that was perfect for me, was getting some bites. Some people were interested. Some people just thought that it wasn't the right time. A lot of it is luck and timing when you're looking for an agent. And so it never quite worked out that I found an agent for The Big F. And so I had seen one of my friends that I had made on an online writing community called Figment. Her name's Lydia Albano, and she is a Swoon Reads author also. And she had just been picked up by Swoon Reads for her book, Finding You. And so I kind of took a long shot and was like, hey, what's it going to hurt if I put The Big F up on swoonreads.com? Anyone can upload their manuscript, their young adult manuscript, onto swoonreads.com for consideration for publication. And Swoon Reads is an imprint of Macmillan's children's books. And so it's a real deal publishing deal, but not going in the traditional way that you would get that publishing deal. So I feel very lucky to have been a part of the Swoon Reads community and to really be able to share my story and tell my story through Swoon Reads. So today, what I really wanted to talk about covers a lot of the topics in my second book, which is To Be Honest. So again, here's the gorgeous cover for To Be Honest. I was so thrilled. After I wrote this book, I knew that I wanted representation on the cover in some way of plus size, either illustration or model. And I was so pleasantly surprised, actually brought to tears by the cover concepts that the designer Carol Lee came back with. And they were all wonderful representation. So another interesting thing about Swoon Reads is they do a cover voting contest. So the Swoon Reads community can get on and vote for the cover direction that they like the best. And so we had 3 different cover options or directions that people could vote on for To Be Honest. And it ended up being the most voted upon cover voting in Swoon Reads history because people were so jazzed to see a plus size model on all of the concepts and were sharing it. And I honestly, that was one of the best days of my writing career was when all those covers went live and it got so much love over on Twitter. So I knew from then on that I had made the right decision in telling a story with a plus size main character where the plus size main character gets her own romantic storyline and she isn't just reserved to being, the funny sidekick. She gets her own story. So I'll tell you a little bit about To Be Honest. So To Be Honest is about Savannah. So this is Savannah, and Savannah is a senior in high school. And when we start the book, she has just left her sister, dropped her off at college. And so she is home alone with her mom. And she and her sister are extremely close. They're only a year apart. And so this is the first time that she's really been home alone. And so the catch to all of this is that their mom has just gotten off of a weight loss reality TV show. And it's like The Biggest Loser, but for copyright reasons, I cannot call it The Biggest Loser. I call it Shake the Weight. And so their mom has just gotten off of this extreme weight loss reality TV show called Shake the Weight and has become obsessed with dieting and exercising to an unhealthy point. And so really Savannah herself, she's a fat character, and I use fat. So fat on the back here, say newsflash, fat isn't a bad word. I really want to own and claim the word fat because it is an adjective to describe someone, and I don't think it's a bad word. So I will use fat and plus size interchangeably throughout this whole conversation. But so I really, Savannah is a fat main character who is actually comfortable in her own skin. She has been introduced to the plus size and body positive community online, is now seeing people, like young people today are now seeing, influencers on Instagram, on YouTube that look like them, who are promoting their true happiness in their body. And so there's this conflict between Savannah and her mom, because her mom is of the belief that they need to be extreme dieting and exercising to be happy, when Savannah knows in her heart that that's not the case. So a lot of this book explores that dynamic of, being comfortable in your own skin, and finding out ways to stick up for yourself and defend yourself when it comes to how you want to have agency over your own body. And so I always knew I wanted to write a story with a plus size main character. And so To Be Honest ended up being like the perfect way to get this message out. And I love the character of Savannah. She is incredibly fun and so funny. And she says all of the one-liners that I keep up in my head that I probably should never say out loud. She's a lot more bold than I am, but she's super fun to write, super fun to read. And so I'm excited. Here later in the stream, I'm going to read you a little bit from the first chapter. So really during the process of writing To Be Honest, and then after I wrote it too, I really started digging more into the body positivity movement and really looking into what representations of body positivity are people in children's lit getting access to. And up until I don't know if anyone has seen the movie Dumplin' on Netflix or read the book, The Wonderful Book by Julie Murphy. But that was really the first young adult book that I ever read that had a plus size main character that was confident, happy in her own skin. And I thought that was a huge change in a positive direction for the young adult lit community. And I couldn't get my screen sharing function to work properly here. So I was going to share a few quotes, about the body positive movement and kind of explain the background of it. So just going into the history of it. So thinking way back. So historically, body positivity and having agency over your body and how you represent your body. We really saw the first steps of this in the Victorian era with dress reform and saying like no corsets. And from there, we've seen it evolve throughout the years of different ways that people want to represent themselves through clothing and how they want their bodies to be viewed. In 1969, the National Association to Advance Fat People was formed, and this was really kind of the first step in more modern times to really ask people to see people of all different kinds of body types as equal. And then we move on to 1996 and we got the body positive, which is where body positivity, that term, really comes from. And the body positive was founded by Connie Sobachak and Elizabeth Scott. And it was actually founded after one of the founders' sister died from bulimia. And they wanted to create a foundation and a space for people to talk about weight and accepting your body. And so since then, it's just become this like inclusive celebration of body diversity. And it's really evolved. And I'm sure you've all seen it on different campaigns for different clothing stores now, which is awesome. Like, I'm really happy to see stores like Loft now has a whole plus size range, and I love shopping there. And I, growing up, never thought I would be able to shop there. So just the strides in regular media that have come about in the past like 20 years, or even the last really like 5 years, has been incredible. And so I have like a little bit of my body positivity definition to share with you. So for me, body positivity is recognizing that your worth is not tied to your physical body. You're accepting of every weight, ability, gender, race, sexuality, and age. You advocate for all body types to be treated with respect, and you separate diet culture from the conversation. So being healthy or being on a diet, I separate from any conversations about body positivity. So I just wanted to share a few quotes from some of my favorite body positive or fat activists that inspire me daily in what I'm doing in the children's lit space, and why I think it's so important for people to continue to advocate for body positivity. So the first one is from Virgie Tovar, and she is a fat activist. You can find her on Instagram. She's very active there. She has a blog. She's great. She has written 2 books, and her latest book, You Have the Right to Remain Fat, is one of my all-time favorites. So she says, "We are taught that thinness equals love, happiness, and respect. The truth is, everyone of every size deserves love, happiness, and respect, and weight loss will never really give us those things." So I feel like that's a super powerful quote to, again, reinforce that separating diet culture and weight loss from being body positive and fat accepting. And so this is a quote from Julie Murphy, who I mentioned earlier is the author of the Dumplin' book. So if you've seen the movie Dumplin' on Netflix, this is the author of that book. And she said, "Body positivity is not anti-health or even anti-weight loss. Many people who engage in body positivity find these topics triggering because diet culture has damaged them so greatly. Body positivity exists to combat diet culture, which is the reason we have problems engage with health, exercise, and eating habits." So again, I find that quote really resonates with me, and everything that I try and do in my writing when I'm representing people of different body diversity in my stories is I really try and be sensitive to how my fat main characters talk about weight and weight loss throughout everything that I produce. So another Virgie Tovar quote, she says, "Diet culture harms everyone regardless of size because it leads to anxiety around weight gain. It's especially harmful to women who often learn from a young age that their bodies are socially unacceptable." And this is something that I think a lot of people that have grown up seeing depictions of people in the media being traditionally very thin and having an ideal body type and not seeing representation of someone that looks like themselves in the media. And this goes for seeing someone in traditional media. This goes for reading books about people that might look like you. A lot of times in the books that I had read growing up, when there were people that were described as fat or plus size, a lot of their storyline and their journey was how they were going to lose weight and what was going to be different for them after they lost weight. And so by reading Dumplin' by Julie Murphy, we got a chance to see a character that didn't even think about it or didn't even mention it maybe more than a couple times that she was fat because it didn't matter. And so that was so like liberating and empowering for me to read. And I was like, hey, I actually could maybe do that too and write a YA character that has kind of the same feelings and sentiments. Hey, Millie. She's chewing on a pillow down here. No, thank you. Love that. And so, what was I saying? Julie Murphy, Dumplin', she's great. So as I was saying, I'll just kind of move on because I lost my train of thought by my naughty dog. Okay. So how traditionally I had seen fat representation in young adult literature is you'd see a character that's only happy when they overcome their weight. The fat character kind of serves as a lazy, rude, or messy foil to the main character. And the character might be held back from doing the things that they want to do because they believe they can't do them in the body that they currently inhabit. And so we saw that a lot with, there were books that had a lot of pictures of like ice cream on the front or like chocolates and things, like instead of just having a picture of the main character, it would always have some sort of connotation with like sweets or sugar, or on the other hand, you would see like dresses that would have like tape measures around them. And like the ones I'm looking at right now, I wish I could share my screen with you. There's a book called Larger Than Life Lara, and it's a picture of a plus size dress. So really that was what we were kind of exposed to. And so by seeing books like Dumplin', I wish I had it here to hold it. I'm quarantining at my parents' house, and so I don't have my book collection here. Otherwise, I would hold it up for you. But the Dumplin' character, or the Dumplin' cover, you have Willadine like on the cover, like super jazzed to be there and comfortable in her own skin. And so that's the turn that I am really excited about, and that's why I was so excited when I was able to see the cover options for To Be Honest. Honestly, pun intended, it was everything that I could have hoped for. And the response that I got online told me that people were also hoping for more books like this too. And I'm excited. The story that I'm working on now is about a plus size ballerina. And so for those of you who don't know, I actually danced up until I was about 14 years old. And so this story is really close to my heart as someone that was never the typical ballerina size or the ideal ballerina body. But this character, she's also sassy. Her name is Harriet, and she loves to prove people wrong. And so being able to go back to my like dancing roots and talk about body positivity. She is even more comfortable in her own skin than even Savannah is. So that was super fun to write. I'm hoping you guys get to meet her soon and get to learn more about that story soon as well. Back to body positivity. So I'm going to read a few reasons like why I wrote To Be Honest, and then I don't know if this is like self-serving, but I'm going to read a couple reviews of what I've heard back from readers on why the story was important to them, and really why I wrote it. Like it does not matter to me any of the like trade reviews or any attention it got like in the media or anything. None of that matters to me. What matters to me is that people read this book and can see themselves or see a younger version of themselves. I've also heard that people are having conversations with their kids around body image and body positivity, which is huge. So that's what I care about and what I'm passionate about. So really, I wrote To Be Honest for a younger me that wanted to see more characters that looked like her on bookshelves. And I also personally wanted to explore my own relationship with diet culture. So that was a huge thing and a huge part of why why I wanted to write, to be honest, was I had a very complicated relationship with diet culture, as I think a lot of people who are millennials probably do, just based on like how we grew up and what we saw in the media. And so this was like really cathartic for me to be able to explore as well. And then just to keep the awesome momentum going that Julie Murphy started. And every year you're seeing more and more books come out that feature plus size characters, and it makes my heart incredibly happy. And I am very glad to like play a small part in that. So I'm going to read just like a few things from anonymous Goodreads reviewers on why they found that, to be honest, was impactful to them. So this reviewer says, a plus size main character who sees beauty in her size. Can we get more like this? We see someone who has weight and weight loss constantly shoved at her via her own mother, sometimes indirectly, and she still is true to herself. As a fat woman, this was so empowering. I love that one. Another one says, I grew up believing that I would never get married because I was fat. No one would be attracted to me because I was fat. I wish I had this book. And then another one that I think is just fun. It's yes, body positivity. Yes, sassy women. Yes, intelligent, strong, brave girls. And so, you know, that is just like, that's the best thing that I could ever hear from readers, is that it impacted them in some way. It made them think differently. You know, or even writers that have reached out and said, hey, I'm thinking about how to write fat characters differently because of the way that you've spoken out about it. So, you know, instances like that, that's the reason why I keep doing this and why I'm passionate about it. So I'm going to go back and look. Does anyone have any questions about my writing process, or like what I'm working on, or body positivity that I can answer, or comments? I'm super, Millie, come here. I'm super open to answering anything that's on the top of your mind. And I think I'm on a little bit of a delay with my video is a little bit delayed to your comments. So I'll just sit here and smile to see if anything comes in. All right, so the first one says, are you making any more books? So yes, like I mentioned, I'm working on a book right now about a plus size ballerina. I'm hoping that I have news about that in the not too distant future, but everyone just kind of hang tight on that one. And I want to continue to write stories with complex and body diverse and just generally diverse characters, because that's also extremely important. So I will stick around and keep writing for as long as people want me to. Another question says, do you journal every day to help you write? And I do not journal every day. I tried to for a while. So I had one of those like 365 like 5-year journals. So like you would answer a prompt on one day and then do it for like 5 years. And I actually made it through like 2 years of doing this, which was like a big commitment for me. I don't think I had ever like journaled for that long. But since then, I haven't been a diligent journaler, but you know, now would be a good time to start, since we're all kind of going through a strange world event together that we can look back on and maybe tell our kids or grandkids about. So maybe I should start journaling now. All right, so we have another question that says, what are essential pieces to your writing process? Music, place, or time, etc. So for me, music is huge. So personally, when I'm writing a scene, I try and find a song that really fits the mood for the scene that I'm writing. And so I will put that on repeat, and that will be the only thing that I will listen to for like however long it takes me to write it. So thankfully I have headphones and don't annoy the people around me. But yeah, music is a huge part for me. Place, I can really do it wherever, as long as I have my laptop and I have headphones in. I can make it work. And timing, it's whenever I can squeeze it in. I like to also write a lot on the weekends. I like to binge write, like binge reading on Netflix, because it like my mind can stay focused on one thing for a long amount of time. And so the weekends, I have like weekends where I call them my hermit weekends, when I stay inside and get a lot of writing done. Do I have a shareable playlist? Yes. So I can make that shareable. I have shared playlists after each book has published that inspires me while I'm writing the books. So I can definitely leave a link to those. And I have one for the book that I'm working on now that I could also make shareable. You have no real details about it yet, but you could see the music that's inspiring me. Thank you guys for your questions. I think now I'm going to switch to doing a little bit of reading before time runs out here. So I'm going to just read from the first chapter of To Be Honest. And here we go. All right. Chapter 1. I'd never seen so much chevron in my life. We slowly unpacked all of my sister's belongings in her small, dingy dorm room, and I wondered how it would ever feel homey. Right now, it reminded me of a glorified prison cell with a set of worn-down loft beds and a freestanding sink in the corner. The cement floor was not helping in my sister's attempt to make the room prison chic. Apparently, they were redoing the floors and ran out of budget/time to put in new carpets for this year. Lucky Ash. I helped her put the sheets on her loft bed. Not an easy task, I might add. And we giggled as her corner blinked off and smacked her in the nose. Thank goodness for those moments when we could laugh, when we could forget what was going to happen in a few hours. Forget that I would be living without my sister and best friend for the first time in 17 years. No matter how many times Ashley tried to broach the subject of her leaving this summer, I would always turn my head and plug my ears. I couldn't bear it then and suggested we push off any sad or mushy conversations to the very last minute. I was a professional procrastinator in all things, especially feelings. You put the bug liner on the mattress before the sheets, right, girls? Mom asked, looking from a long list that she printed out from one of her favorite mommy blogs. No bugs getting into this fortress, I said, smacking the bed. The force of my hand smacked caused another corner of the fitted sheet to snap out from under the mattress, and Ashley scowled at me. I told you that we should have gotten the extra long sheets, Mom said. That's a waste of money. We had plenty of working twin sheets already, Ashley said. Always the practical one she was. Ashley's brain was constantly in conservation mode, while my mom's brain was always in excess mode, especially in the past 2 years after Mom and Dad's divorce. Ashley has been the voice of reason in our home. The list said extra long, Mom mumbled. Ashley huffed after fixing the sheet once more, and we both climbed down from the loft. I offered to wind her twinkle lights around the base of the bed while she and Mom tag-teamed getting the mini fridge up and running. Who knew you could have a teal mini fridge with coral flowers? Only Ashley would upcycle our cousin's old beat-up mini fridge to make it beautiful. She was going to film school after all. It was kind of in her blood to be incredibly creative. As Mom and Ashley exchanged a few heated words while trying to find an extension cord to keep the fridge in the perfect feng shui location of the room, I unwrapped the photos she had packed. One was of her and me at summer camp the year that we were finally in the same cabin. We both slept in the bottom bunk that year because Ashley was afraid of heights and I was prone to falling out of the bed. I didn't mind, though. You can't quite explain the comfort of knowing your sister is close by. The next was of our dog, her dog, Fiero. He earned his name during Ashley's obsession with the musical Wicked. Our family lived and breathed all things Wicked for the entirety of Ashley's 8th grade year. The poodle baby in the picture looked like a stuffed teddy bear. Now Fiero was a 50-pound hellion who had a particular fondness for finding and eating makeup. I'd lost many a lipstick to the Fiero monster. The last picture was of Ashley, my dad, and me. We were in Hollywood doing a tour of Universal Studios because Ashley just caught the movie bug. She was probably 12, making me 11. We posed in front of the Gilmore Girls town of Stars Hollow, and we were laughing our heads off. Most likely, Dad let out a fake fart noise right before the count of 3, and we lost it. On the other side of the camera, I could imagine Mom's disapproving face. Mom always refused to be in the pictures. We worked in a sacred silence, taking a few moments longer to complete